Okay, hello, welcome back to the Anything Bros. I know we haven't done anything in a long time, but shut up. This is gonna be awesome. Alright, Dragon's Dogma just came out yesterday, and we watched the shit out of it. So what do you think, bro?
Hey guys, Aiden here. I sound a little bit different, but that's just because I got done watching Dragon's Dogma. And first impressions here, I thought it was pretty good. I was honestly surprised by it. I was actually legitimately surprised by this anime.
Yeah, I when I first heard that they were going to be making it, I wasn't excited because I was just like, oh, it's a Netflix adaptation. Oh, it's going to be 3D. Well, look at all the good 3D things that have come out. Well, now we have Beastars, which is awesome, but before, when they announced it, it was like, Knights of Sidonia has, like, terrible animation. Berserk, I don't even want to talk about.
Kingdoms.
Kingdoms. Kengan Ashura looks like shit. The Godzilla movies are terrible, but this, Dragon's Dogma, I think is actually really good.
I'll be honest, I think that this is legitimately the best looking 3D anime series I have ever seen.
I think it has the best animation, but I think Beastars is probably more pleasant to look at.
Yeah, okay. Stylistically, Beastars all the way. Because Beastars takes its style to the maximum. But this one, like, animation-wise, visually, I think the models look really nice. Like, sometimes I would just even forget that it was 3D.
Yes.
And the animations on the models were just so good. Like, usually the problem that you have with 3D animes is that they use them like they would a video game. They just have them using like stock animations, or they'll have them do like the facials. It's always the facials that gets me when it comes to these kinds of things, because the face is just so like stagnant, and they have like preset things, but they actually like went their all and animated the crap out of these characters.
Honestly, it was almost like the faces were like 2D. You know, they were traditional anime, but they weren't. But that's just how it felt. It actually kind of reminded me of the Fire Emblem models and how stylized they were. Way better looking than those. But that's just kind of what came to my mind.
Yes, I know what you mean, though.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. I was legitimately shocked. I did not like when I saw the trailer for it. I was like, that doesn't look that bad.
Yeah,
but then when I actually got to watch it, I was completely blown away. I was like, wow, this is legitimately so good looking that I couldn't believe it at first.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The only thing that's a little bit off-putting and a little bit disjointing a little bit is the monsters, because they're different, but I kind of like it though.
At first, when I saw his name's not Grigori, but that's just what I'm going to call him, or the dragon. When I first saw the dragon, I was like, I don't know, I don't really like this look, but in each episode there's a new like big monster. Throughout these 7 episodes, I started to get used to it. So by the time I saw Grigori again, the dragon, I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of down with this stylized look.
I really liked it because it adds a layer of like, these are like fantasy creatures. It adds a layer of like, these are monsters, because they look different from the people. They're not only do they look different, but their style, their models are different too.
You know,
and it adds that layer.
Yeah, it's so pretty too. Like the backgrounds are just amazing looking, and the lighting is great too.
It's a really good looking show. Like, it's actually just really good looking.
Yes, it really is. I mean, it's just very pretty. And that's I think for me probably the biggest praise I can give it is that it's very, very pretty to look at, because I feel like a lot of the 3D shows, I don't know, they're just not very appealing looking. You know, they're usually very bland and boring colors, Beastars aside, and then this just comes out and blows them all out. We're going to exclude
Beastars every time we talk about 3D animation.
Yes, because
we have to keep saying except for Beastars.
Yeah, this just blows them all out of the water.
Yeah.
I think it's the best looking 3D show. At least I've seen. I think I know about all of them, and this is the best looking one, I think, by far.
Yeah, I told you after I finished watching that legitimately if Berserk 2016 and 2017 was like this, I would have not mind at all. The 3D, at all. Because it actually totally just agree. Is... It actually is just that good. It's actually, like... I want to say it's on par with, like, the Berserk movies. Like, the way that it's animated. If not a little bit better. Because it's actually super gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, I think the Berserk movies, where they kind of fall is kind of just in the like, you know, the traditional, like, choppiness that you would expect in a 3D show. Mm-hmm. I think that over the course of the years, as they've gone by, they've clearly gotten better at that. And while it is still choppy-ish to look at, you know, it's still kind of weird, it's mostly clean now, and I think that's most evident in Dragon's Dogma for sure.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things I liked about this show. I thought I thought it did well. The action was really cool. The action was a lot of fun.
That was the best part.
Yes, the action was super well done.
The one thing that I thought they were going to fuck up for sure. Oh, by the way, I should probably mention Dragon's Dogma is actually my favorite game of all time.
Mm-hmm. It's his favorite game of all time, and I've played through it twice, and I do really enjoy the games, but clearly, like, Rowan's the bigger fan in this conversation,
yes,
which is why I'm going to be asking him a lot more questions later on.
Yes, when we get to the plot and
when we get to the plot, because that's when I start having a little bit of my problems with the show.
My problems are only related to plot and basically character. But we'll get into that later. The fights, I thought for sure they were going to fuck up, and the one thing they would not be able to emulate from the game was going to be the fights. That was the thing that they got perfectly right.
Yeah. It legitimately, like, played out like it would have in the game.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, like, with the main character, Ethan, the Arisen, climbing onto monsters, and then his pawn, Hannah, supporting him. I mean, I have to admit, as gross as this sounds, I definitely busted a fat nut when I saw him fighting. Just the last episode alone, I think, is worth watching.
Yes,
it's like half of that episode is fighting, and it's awesome.
And not only that, but they literally, like, ripped off the dragon fight. The final dragon fight. Like, it's literally, like, verbatim. They even have the part where he runs through the hallways and the dragon's chasing after him. They have that.
I freaked out because it is my favorite game of all time. I have my problems with it. That is, I think, a perfect boss fight. It's my favorite boss fight of all time as well. And the fact that they emulated pretty much every moment of that boss fight, oh my god, I couldn't be happier with that. For sure.
They even had him go flying through the air, like, legitimately. Even though he doesn't land in, like, the little, like, open area that he's supposed to in the game, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's still, like, they, like, out of everything they could have done, they did it perfectly with that final fight. Like, they basically just took what the game did and just animated it, and it worked perfectly.
It worked perfectly. And I think the next best fight, in my opinion, is the Hydra.
Yes,
the Hydra was just amazing.
Especially when he goes crazy.
Yes, when
he goes
so berserker
good.
Armor. Yeah.
Yes, that part is so good.
It's so good. I was like, is this 3D? I can't believe this is 3D. I really can't believe it. It looks that good.
They did so well. They did so well with it, and I was just like completely like every now and then the 3D doesn't look as good. Every now and then they use some animations that's just like, it looks kind of dumb.
If you want to talk about a moment that I don't think looks that good, in the first episode, Grigori, the dragon, he like picks up these like soldiers and throws them, and they land on a building, and they're just clearly just like ragdoll physics. They like bounce up and then they like roll over. Oh, if you watch it again, you'll notice it immediately. And I burst out laughing. It was so funny looking.
Yeah, but they did spot on. They did spot on with the action. The action was pretty much perfect. The 3D was handled so well, and the camera work and everything was just, it was all just like done really well.
I mean, I think it really helps that one, the show is focused around only like two main characters. They put a lot of, you can tell they put a lot of the budget into the way the two characters look and animate, and also the fight choreography is just fantastic.
Yes,
it's just
that
amazing.
brings me to my next point. I understand why it looks so good, and that's because for some reason they decided to blow their entire load on 7 episodes.
Okay, yeah.
When I started noticing the trend when it got to like I want to say the what was it, the second episode? No, it was like the third episode for me because I didn't notice like the time. I didn't notice like the
titles,
the names of the
episodes,
and I realized, and I was like, wait, these are like the 7 deadly sins, and then I was like, wait, are there only 7 episodes? And then I stopped, I paused the episode, and I checked. I'm like, there's only 7 episodes this season. And then I accidentally scrolled down, and I read the description of the last episode, and it says that Ethan fights the dragon, and I was like, oh, wow, this is the entire show.
Yeah,
it's really not a show. It's more of a movie.
Yeah,
like a 3-hour-long movie.
And honestly, all of my complaints that we'll get to in a minute, I think are pretty much entirely because the runtime is so short. I think all of my complaints could have been fixed because they're pretty much all story related. Could have been fixed if it was longer, and I don't know. I would like to think that was like the deal. Netflix was like, all right, we're gonna give you 7 episodes, and then if it does well, we'll give you another season. And they were probably like, well, fuck, people don't know what Dragon's Dogma is. People know who Castlevania is, so that was like, they could play balls to the wall with the first season of Castlevania. They didn't have to have a centralized story, but for Dragon's Dogma, I think they had to play it kind of safe like that.
Well, Castlevania,
I'm not sure.
Have a... it's really baffling because usually with these kinds of series, they usually would just go, okay, we'll make a first season. Like, they would just, do it. Honestly, they would have just done it. Which is why it's just so strange that they decided to go this route of just... Yeah. Especially with Dragon's Dogma, because there's so much stuff in Dragon's Dogma that you could have done easily 2 seasons worth of, 13-episode seasons. Sure. Easily. There's so much into Dragon's Dogma that they just do not get into.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think at first I was, when I found that out, I think I was probably halfway through. I was a little disappointed because I was like, oh, we're not going to go to the capital, or we're not going to, see a lot of the areas that are actually in the game. But by the end, I was like, well, all right, I can live with it, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's really weird. It's a strange thing.
It's a strange beast for sure.
If there's a way that I could sum up this anime in general, it's good, but wasted potential. There's a lot that they could have done that they just decided not to do it.
Yeah,
I guess.
Honestly, I'm just surprised that it's not worse.
It's
kind of mind-blowing to me that it's even Castlevania felt like lightning in a bottle. I was like, how is this even remotely good? I mean, because for the most part, we don't get a lot of amazing video game adaptations or anything, so the fact that it's even this good is just, I think, is great. I mean, I think they knew, though, that they didn't have a lot of time for the plot or anything, so which is why pretty much half of an episode is devoted to fighting.
Yeah,
it's totally fine because the action's amazing.
With how short it is, the plot, it works.
Yeah, it actually
works.
Exactly. For 7 episodes, the plot is fine.
Yeah,
but if you take out that caveat that it is 7 episodes, it's not that fine. I think is how I tend to look at it. If I look at it into the fact that it's only 7 episodes, I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay.
If I
do you
look
just want
at
to
it,
jump into plot now?
Yeah, let's just do it.
Let's just jump into plot.
Let's just do it.
Let's just go in order of what happens, because I do want to talk about the first episode, because I think the first episode was really good.
I think the first, the last, and then the Hydra one were easily the best.
Yeah. The other ones feel mostly filler. They're not really filler, but they feel like it. You can easily just say that they're not nearly as important as those 3.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 plot episodes.
It's shit, you could even kind of skip the 6th episode, which has a lot of
which is only
character development
even
for the main
even
character.
they want to skip the 6th episode because it was only 19 minutes long.
Yeah.
I could like I found that out. I was just like, oh, are you kidding me? This episode's only 19 minutes, but
yeah,
whatever. The first episode does a really good job.
Yes,
it
really
sets
does.
everything up perfectly. I like compared to how the game starts up. I feel like it does a better job of making the dragon feel
menacing.
Yes, because in the first game he just,
I suppose.
Yes, because in the game he kind of just shows up in this small little village, this small little like fisher village, just like this one, but it's not nearly as big as it is in the anime.
No,
and he doesn't really cause nearly as much damage as he does in the anime.
It kind of reminded me of shit. I don't even know why I'm comparing it. It kind of reminded me of Smaug in The Hobbit. It's like for like the book version. It's like, oh, you know, he beats the shit out of the town, and then the movie version, it's like 10 minutes, or actually like 5 straight minutes, just pure destruction.
Yeah, it actually shows
like that.
it.
Yeah, it's like that.
But they do a really good job. I have to say, even though it was so predictable that the kid was going to die.
Yeah.
What was heartbreaking about it is the way he dies.
Oh my god.
That part was so... Dude. I legit started screaming because I couldn't believe that they actually did that.
I was like, "Holy shit!"
It's like it's a straight up it's the cliche, but they dialed it up to 11 because all they did was they did the straight up cliche of the character going, "Oh, don't worry, it's safe," and then they get snatched up by the monster.
Yeah.
But what they did to step it up even further is they have the kid screaming as he gets eaten alive.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Dude, I couldn't.
It was disturbing, honestly.
It was very disturbing, and it was scary, and it did a good job.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that this show was gonna get serious.
Yeah. I don't know if I would quantify it as edge, but it's quite a bit darker than the game, I think, overall. But it takes a lot of elements from it for sure. It's not like the game is, you know, Lord of the Rings or anything. It's a bit lower on the high fantasy tier than that. Yeah, I think the first episode is awesome. Like, obviously, you know that the wife is gonna die or whatever, but the way it's done, I think, is amazing.
The way it's done, they executed it perfectly.
Yeah,
it was done exceptionally well.
And the dragon is just the thing is that he does not have, as far as I remember, not like I know all of his lines, I don't think he like says anything that is outright from the game, but the shit he says, I was like, is this from the game? Like, I could definitely believe it. The dialogue is perfect for especially for the dragon. I think they did a fantastic job of making him feel like that amazing menace that I got from the game. And it's a great episode.
The dragon from Dragon's Dogma is the best dragon in any video game. He's pretty much like perfect.
Yeah.
He's great in the video game. I absolutely love him.
Yes, he's amazing. I think that, well, we'll get to that later because they kind of revealed that in the last episode. But I think this dragon is also pretty much just as amazing. They do a great job.
Yeah, he's just as good. I'd say that the voice actor just isn't as good as the original.
No.
But he still does a fantastic job.
Yeah, for sure.
He does a really good job. But the first episode did a really good job summing up what this is going to be for you. It was a perfect way to start it.
It almost sets you up for failure because it's so amazing that when I got to the second episode, I was like, whoa, what's with the pacing? I'll get to that in a second. And then I realized that, oh, right, of course, it's not very long.
They really start rushing it because like you said in the second episode, it's just, I'm assuming you're talking about the part where they defeat the Cyclops and then they just do like a slideshow to show what happens next.
Oh my god. But also it just like comes out of nowhere.
It comes out of nowhere.
There was really no build up for it being like about like avarice and greed and stuff and how.
Yeah.
So I guess I should have read the title card of the episode or whatever. But I was like, what the fuck? I thought the episode was over.
The greed, it makes sense. The greed, it made sense because the the Lord or whatever he was, the mayor was the greedy guy.
Yeah.
In that scenario. What I didn't like at the end was that it was literally like, for all the townspeople just run in and they just start becoming absolute wild animals and just raid the place, which I felt was it was a little too on the nose. It was too on the nose.
It's on the nose, but it also just felt random. Like
it wasn't built up or anything.
Like, it wasn't built up, and the payoff there is actually payoff for it, but again, the payoff is really just on the nose.
The payoff is very on the nose in the last episode. It also doesn't help that they just explain the entire thing to you.
Yeah, that too.
And you're able to figure it out, like you're able to figure it out on your own.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Some episodes just have. The Cyclops fight was really good.
Oh
the
my
Cyclops fight was really good.
The pawn is saying the pawn line where she's like, "I am your protector." I was like, "Yes, say more game lines. Do it for me."
It was done really well.
Yeah, and I really liked the part. I thought it was so cool. I hadn't seen this before, where she cuts the dude's like arm with the bow or whatever.
Yes, with the bowstring. Yeah, she uses the bowstring to like cut his veins or whatever.
Yeah, and
something like that. That was really cool.
I just loved the climbing aspect that they managed to keep that, and the main character is actually really awesome. I think
I did enjoy Ethan a lot.
He's very enjoyable, considering that you have 7 episodes and he has to go through an entire arc in 7 episodes. He's a great character for that.
I know.
I think they did a good job.
They did do a good job with Ethan, but like at the same time, it's too fast paced.
When he starts becoming all Edge Man, you're like, huh?
Yeah, it becomes like I saw what they were going for, but at the same time, it's like this is something that you do. When I like halfway through the series, I realized what they were doing, and I was like, this is something that you do, where you have like the first season leads up to like episode 4.
Yeah.
And then episode 4 is the last season. Is like him like having to, you have edgelord Ethan the rest of the season until at the end of the final episode it all comes together.
Yeah.
That's what it should have been.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by when I say this is wasted potential, because they just like put it all into 7 episodes and you just can't really tell that good of a story in only 7 episodes.
Yeah, you really can't. And the fact that they tried to tell an entire story in 7 episodes is commendable. I mean, you have to have some really crazy brass balls to do that. And I think it worked for the most part. But yeah, the 3rd episode, I honestly, I don't even know if I like it.
The 3rd episode, that was I'll be honest, I don't think I was paying attention. I think I was drawing when that was happening.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one with the wife, right? Or the
Griffin?
The Griffin and like with the stupid ending where the dude kills the girl.
Oh,
like that part was just so lame.
It was so stupid. Because like honestly, I was like, oh, she's a huge bitch throughout the entire fucking episode, and then she's like, I loved you the whole time. I'm like, no, you didn't. You took your, oh, by the way, there's nudity in it. You took your tits out for the main character.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. The arc was just unbelievable, and the characters were pretty boring for the most part. I like the night guys.
The night guys were
at least
cool.
Entertaining, and it was so weird to me that they decided to emulate the first fight with the Griffin, where the Griffin flies away in the game, when the Griffin doesn't come back at all. I was like, what? So, like, that is one of the episodes that doesn't have a lot of fighting in it. One of, like, 2 episodes that doesn't have a lot of fighting in it. And it was the Griffin. I was like, dude, the Griffin is, like, the 2nd biggest boss in the entire game. What an odd choice, in my opinion.
Unless, you're right.
Unless they get a
second season.
Unless they get a second season.
I forgot how big the Griffin was. The Griffin was a huge part of the game. It was like the first act, like, bad guy in the first game.
Like you fight the Hydra in the game, and then the Hydra runs away, and you never see it again until post game, basically.
A big part of like the first act of the game is
the Griffin,
taking down the Griffin.
Yeah,
I completely forgot how big of a role the Griffin actually has in the game.
Yeah, so I would have at least liked them to, if they were gonna, maybe there'll be a second season. I I don't know. We'll see. I don't
the
know.
The first season should have been about taking down the Griffin first.
Yeah, but
if they wanted to go that route.
So I found that to be easily the most disappointing episode, and at that point I was like, I don't know. Maybe this show isn't going to be that good. But then the next episode, the Hydra episode.
The Hydra episode was good. It did a good job. It did a good job trying to portray like because the third episode sucked because
it sucked.
Its whole thing
good.
about Sin was about envy and just like the whole thing about him, the husband like deciding he finally protects his wife, and then he turns around and he kills her because he's like now she'll always be mine, and it's like what this is so stupid.
It doesn't make any sense because she even told him like straight to his face that she doesn't like him because he can't protect her, which by the way is a stupid fucking reason to like someone, but whatever. And then he just kills her. Like, it's random. Also, she was not likable at all. But the fourth episode.
Oh yeah, she was a huge bitch.
The fourth episode, I think, has an interesting subplot. Pretty honestly, for one episode, good side characters and an amazing fight.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't want to say it's the best episode.
Well, it's the best outside of the bookends, I think.
Yes, it is easily the best side quest episode.
Yeah.
They do a good job. It wraps up perfectly. We never see those characters again, but it wraps up completely perfectly.
You pretty much know, for the most part, what's going to happen to the characters. I mean... It's very solid. The girl was likable. The guy had an actual character arc. He managed to turn around. I actually liked that a lot. And the Hydra. It's like a 3-act fight.
Yeah.
It technically is. It is awesome.
It is. Like I said, this episode is actually like really good. It does a really good job doing its 3-act structure like perfectly, and for once, we got like a happy-ish ending.
Yeah.
For once, in like every single one of these episodes ends in misery, and that's the point. That is the point. But at the same time,
it's kind of dumb though. Still.
But the problem is that I get that. It's just that the way some of them end is stupid. But luckily, this one ends perfectly.
Yes, it really does.
Even if it is stupid, even if it may be a little bit stupid that the girl survives at the end, I don't care. I don't care. I liked her.
Actually, though, that is in line with the game, because if you get swallowed by the Hydra, you can cut yourself out.
Oh, that's right.
You can climb out, and then if you don't, you die. So while it is unbelievable that she was able to stay alive that long, I do appreciate the emulation of that part in the game. And when she got out of it, I was like, oh, that's sick. And also, when he cut off the head the first time, and it's like kind of hanging on for a second, and then it like flings it across the lake. I was like, oh, that's just so satisfying to look at. And I just like that they also brought the weird head growing animation where like the head comes in from the neck somehow. I don't know how that's biologically possible. It's not. But I like that all of the monsters are extremely what's the word? I almost said loyal. I'm gonna say loyal. Extremely loyal to the game. And I really appreciate that. And Berserker armor Ethan was super epic looking. When he just cuts through all their heads, it was he
just completely demolishes that Hydra.
Yeah,
just absolutely destroys it.
It's just so sick.
And that was like a really satisfying moment.
Yeah, it really was.
Fourth episode, probably it's definitely one of the best episodes.
I would say that it's like there's like 3 peaks basically, and then valleys.
Yeah,
it's a W. That's how I describe it.
Yeah,
because like those 3 episodes are far and away way better than everything else, but the rest are still fine. But they're better than everything else.
They're below them.
Yeah.
Especially like between them, there's always like one sucky episode. Like you said, the third episode sucked, and I'd say that the 6th episode was Well, no. You know what? I think I'd say I disliked the 5th episode more than I did with the 6th episode. Because at least the 6th episode, we got more backstory for Ethan.
The 5th episode is a really strange beast.
The 5th episode, it's very odd. It's very strange. I didn't care much for the action in the 5th episode because it's just them fighting skeletons. I don't remember anything that cool happening.
There was some really cool stuff. Like, I liked the slow motion freeze frame stuff at the beginning. It was very unique.
Yeah.
And then I think, honestly, for the most part, when they're fighting the skeletons, it's boring. But when the Lich is on screen, technically white, that's what they're calling the game, but I can see why they would want to change that. The Lich is... he's got the weird revolving eye that's really visually, like, fun to look at. And when he does the fireballs and he has, like, the smoke coming up, that's really fun. But, I think the
overall fight is just kind of,
Yeah.
It's mostly just a boss raid, and it's just But the biggest problem is just the ending to that one is just kind of...
Another one, man.
Another one where, like, literally just... out of nowhere, this character just turns into an asshole.
The thing is,
he just literally turns to his friend and kills him over like one to bloom.
The thing is that the coin he tosses him is the Lich coin, the white coin, and it's cursed. It's cursed, and I only noticed that because when Ethan is talking and he's holding it, it has a shit. What's the term I'm looking? An echo. It has a slight echo for like half a second, and then he tosses it to him, and he's like, and then he looks at it, and it like shows a reflection in his eye, like the Lich, how the Lich had the coin in his eye. Problem is that almost within like 10 seconds of him holding that, instead of like like a whole season of him turning evil and greedy, he just goes, well, shit, I'm evil now. I want this money. Oh, friend stabbed.
It's comically evil bad guy he turns into. Yeah. It's actually so funny how quickly he turns.
Yeah.
It's
kind of visually pretty to look at, though, because the gold is very bright.
Yeah, the gold is very
So at
bright.
least when they're like fighting and then he like knocks up the coins or whatever, that's very nice to look at. But yeah, I enjoyed the 5th episode with its spectacle, but not necessarily. I think the choreography was poor, but the spectacle was nice. And then again, it really just comes down to it. Like, if we had like 3 episodes of this event, well, that may have actually been worse.
If these characters actually had an arc.
If these characters actually had an arc, and you see them turn evil, like, really, that's just the problem, is that it's just too short.
It's too short. We don't have enough time to spend with these characters. And I legitimately like those two guys.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of glad I can say that my complaint is that it's too short. Imagine if my complaint was that everything fucking sucked. Like Berserk.
Yeah, everything sucked, or like it's too long. Like I would say something that's too long is worse.
I'm at least grateful that I can say that really the main complaint is that it's just there's not enough of it.
Yeah, and that's probably why I enjoyed the 6th episode, because it was only 19 minutes long.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was very simple. And I get why it was only 19 minutes long. Thank God it was only 19 minutes long. I don't know how else they could have... Imagine if they tried to extend that plot out for 30 minutes. It would have sucked.
Yeah.
So they made a good choice with only making it 19 minutes.
Yeah. I also appreciate the fact that they brought in the succubus, which I actually saw some people being like, "Oh, the succubus isn't in the game." Technically, it is. It is technically in the game, but it only appears like twice. Like in, I think it's only in Bitterback Isle, which is the DLC, and then also like at the mountain where you fight Grigori, which technically isn't his name, apparently, but fuck you if you think
it
that.
It isn't his name?
Apparently it isn't, or people don't know, so there's some people who are like, it is his name, and then some people are like, it's not his name.
I just went based off the wiki, and the wiki says his name is Grigori.
Yeah, sorry.
And Grigori's a sick name, and I like it, so I'm going to call him Grigori.
Exactly. So, I liked that. The character development was actually, I think, really good.
I got package for extra buggy for Yowall.
Nice save, by the way. Sorry, I was getting a package. It's my brand new. This is our sponsor for the week. It's my brand new Glasses 26. All right, fuck it. I don't know. I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head. Anyway.
We could just cut it out. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, we can cut that out. But so the sixth episode, you know, it does a pretty good job with the backstory and stuff.
We finally get our answers to Ethan and what happened to him.
I was actually not expecting that. I thought it was going to be a lot more simple. So I actually was surprised that his dad was like fucking crazy or whatever.
I thought that was
pretty cool.
I thought
actually.
they just like went out. I thought either his parents died at sea.
Yeah.
Or what I thought happened, like what happened there, where like he was out in a boat and they got stranded, and his dad died, giving him all of his food and water. I thought that's how it was gonna be. I didn't know his dad actually just went crazy and took him out on a raft into the ocean.
Yeah.
You're like, great, awesome, thanks, Dad.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. All right, this is kind of where everything falls into place. The last episode. This is when I was like, oh, fucking duh. That's
the last episode saves it. Really saves the anime.
Really saves it. Now, all of the complaints we mentioned before are still totally legit, but they try very hard, and I think mostly get it to work.
Yeah. I agree. I think they mostly get it to work. With the amount of time that they had, I think they got to work as best as you possibly could have.
And I really appreciate that half of that episode is basically just fighting. And it's the best.
It is. It's just straight up just Ethan and Hannah just fighting the crap out of that dragon.
And also just the dragon monologuing like the entire episode.
Exactly. So, he's just talking the entire time. And I mean,
what's better than that? He's the most charismatic motherfucker besides the original in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
They did a really good job casting that guy. He pulls that off perfectly.
Yeah, he really does. I think that is just... To me, that felt just so Dragon's Dogma. Pretty much that entire episode was almost all just... I was like, oh yeah, this would just be right in the game. Pretty much. It feels exactly where it should be. There are some major departures from the story.
A lot of major departures from the story.
But it's mostly actually just in the detail, to be honest, because I was actually looking and I was like, oh, it's really just the turn of events, or like the way they happen is what's really different. Besides the thing that we should probably get to is that Seneschal is not in this at all.
Yes,
at all.
I'll be honest.
That's fine.
I didn't think it was going to be in there at all.
No, I didn't think he was going to be in there at all. And
how do you say his name? Seneschal?
I say Seneschal.
Seneschal. We'll just call him Seneschal, even if it's wrong. Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
But I did not expect them to do that plot. Now, while that is easily my favorite part of Dragon's Dogma.
Oh, it's it's a brilliant. Honestly, I think it's brilliant.
Of doing it.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant too.
Yeah.
I love the absolute cycle of it. I love how you get to see. Like, I love how there's so many different ways that an Arisen's journey can end.
Yeah.
And I like how you get to see each of those journeys. Like, you get to see, like, like the king, you find out that he was an Arisen, and he made the deal with the dragon. You find out that the dragons actually is an Arisen who failed at fighting the Seneschal. And then you find out the Seneschal is the strongest of all the Arisens.
Yeah.
Like it works perfectly as a video game. But I did not expect them to want to go that route for it.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I am glad that they did what they did with Ethan and the dragon.
Yeah. I am mostly... I'm totally happy with it, because as much as I like Seneschal, really, to me, the big climactic battle, and this is kind of actually the point of the game, is the big climactic battle is still the dragon. So the fact that, we only have 7 episodes to work with, just cutting out the Seneschal part, I think is fine. That's fine.
You couldn't
cutting out God
have
is fine.
possibly have put in the Seneschal.
No, you
couldn't have done it. If they gave it if it was like a 3-season episode anime, it would have been possible. Because you could have had the first one. I totally agree. The first one would have been like the first half of the anime, but actually like drawn out, and you actually get to visit the kingdom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the second part would be leading up to the dragon, and then the third season would probably be shorter, but it would be them trying to reach Seneschal.
Yeah.
That would have worked, but they basically pulled off that ending to Dragon's Dogma, but they tweaked it a bit.
Yeah,
because
they tweaked it.
Because they tweaked it where they just removed the Seneschal, and they said, well, let's just remove the Seneschal, and we'll have just the dragon be the main antagonist, and we'll have the cycle still be a thing, but it's just between the Arisen and the dragon.
Yeah,
that works perfectly.
Yeah, it really does. I really enjoy what they did with that. I think, I don't know, I really have no complaints with that last episode. It's perfect.
Yeah,
I really think it's very good. I mean, the action is just amazing when he dives under the tail or whatever. That part, I just, my jaw dropped. I was like, holy shit, you can actually do that in 3D?
Yeah.
And then just the plot, it's on the nose. It's totally on the nose, but I kind of like the 7 deadly sins, because in the game, shit, I might get turned out as a fraud if I say this, but I'll jump in and say it anyway. If I remember correctly, in the game, Grigori can basically see what you're doing. I believe because, he took your heart, he has an intrinsic link to you and knows what you're doing. So
I think you're right.
When this dragon, because it is a different dragon, when this dragon is talking about that and like saying like, oh, you see blood, this 7 deadly sin, and then you saw sloth and this one, I was like, oh yeah, actually that makes sense because of course he fucking knows. He has his heart.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was supposed to be like him knowing because he saw. When I
might
watch that scene, I assumed that he was just stating what it is. He's just stating like all of the sins, and then like you slowly piece together, Ethan's entire journey, he's meeting those types of people, proving the dragon right. That's the whole thing, is that the dragon's got a point.
I wasn't sure because I feel like if the dragon had known who the type of people that he had met, it would at least make sense that he says pretty much exactly that kind of shit. But it also works in the aspect that this is a loop, so of course Ethan's going to meet those kind of people, because this is exactly how it's gone for all of time and millennia. So I really liked that. I also I liked the dragon's perspective. It's a bit different. It's kind of similar, but it's also quite a bit different as well.
Because the dragon's goal in the first game is that he's just a test for the Arisen, right? He's just a test for them to go and then fight the Seneschal. If they're strong enough to beat the dragon, then they have the right to go and fight the Seneschal, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much
how that works.
I think Grigori kind of has his own little bit of an agenda, but that's pretty much what he is. I believe. And to be fair, maybe my favorite game, but I haven't played it in like a little bit over a year. So
I played it like last year, or the year before. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So my memory might be a little bit more fresh.
Yeah.
Probably not, but I do know that like I did like its take on that. I like how it goes on from the idea of like it's this big like interlinking thing with the video game, but in this one it's just a really screwed up cycle that is just completely that just like it's basically just humanity at its worst, because this could have been stopped easily.
It's the dragon's fault too.
It's the dragon's fault, but at the same time it's also humanity's fault and Ethan's fault too, because literally like the whole like moral thing, because of course it is, the whole moral thing is that revenge isn't good. Like that's the whole idea, and it makes sense for that's how it is, because he's like if an Arisen kills me, I do like how they portray it.
It's not like Last of Us 2 kind of thing where it's not where you don't even get any form of satisfaction. This is satisfying.
Yeah,
this is satisfying of revenge. Fucking sucks. Don't do it. It's
because
a good version,
and it makes sense because it's not like it's so avoidable too. Because it's like and what makes it good is the fact I really like the idea of the dragon. Like it's a big cycle because humanity just doesn't learn. Because the whole thing is that he's like, if the Arisen doesn't kill me, if the Arisen doesn't kill me, well, like it's not even just that. If the Arisen doesn't kill me out of a desire for revenge,
that too,
then it doesn't work out. But because Ethan wanted revenge more than he wanted to just slay the dragon and stop this chaos, he turns into a dragon himself. He gets consumed by his rage and everything, and it makes sense and it works out perfectly.
It really does, and of course that's where I was wondering what this line was actually for when the dragon is like, "Do you hate me?"
Yes,
I love that line. That's going to go down as a dragon.
Dost thou hate me? Yeah, like that's a really good. Sick. And it actually makes a lot of sense now why the dragon talks like so ye old, because he's from another time, and it makes sense.
Because he is ye old.
He is ye old.
I also like. We haven't even really talked about her, but I think Anna is great, and I think
Hannah is good.
I think really she's great because she's a pawn. Literally, she has no emotion, but she has a bit of a character, a little bit of an arc. I think really the reason why I think she's great is because I have so much nostalgia for the game, and she says a lot of pawn shit too.
Yes. Yes, she does.
She does, and I gotta admit, I got hype every time she said something stupid like that.
They did.
So I think that considering again 7 episodes and Ethan is the main focus, she has a pretty good arc. So by the time of the end, the last episode when she has the chance to kill Ethan, she doesn't. It's believable. I saw it coming and I believed it. I didn't think like, oh, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I actually thought, oh yeah, of course, makes sense.
Perfect. And again, it was another thing that I think they did really well because they tried to emulate the ending to the original game, but without the seneschal, and it works out because I'm still confused exactly how the video game ends. Like, I guess it ends with like you killing yourself and you basically make your pawn have its own life at that point. I'm still confused on how that works.
If I remember correctly, that detail I've never really been sure on either, but if I understand it correctly, is that you kill yourself, so then you go back to being immortal and you like start the cycle over again or whatever. And then you give the pawn her own life, so she's not severed and you're not stuck in fucking heaven.
The pawn takes over you, though, at the end of the video game.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, the weirdest part to me in the entire game.
Yeah.
Because it's so weird.
You become one.
Do you become one, or is it that you're giving your body to your pawn so that way that they can have an actual life? I don't know how it works.
They never explain it,
and it doesn't.
That's obviously the point, but it doesn't make much sense. But
it doesn't make much sense. But they tried to pull off that ending in this one, and honestly, I think it works off better because you actually have a pawn who actually has gained emotions, and now her set goal is to stop Ethan from doing any harm when he shows up again as a dragon, and it makes sense. It's good.
Yeah, pawns are immortal, right?
I assume so.
Right? If
they literally can't die, I don't understand why she could die from old age.
Yeah, I was just wondering because if there was a season 2, then would it be like, 100 years later, and then she's the pawn again, or, because I thought she was gonna go back to her world or whatever, but she actually doesn't.
I was gonna say they could, in theory, do a second season and have it be that Ethan's now the new dragon.
Yeah.
And there's another new Arisen who has his own pawn, but Hannah also shows up.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think they could do that because they don't really go into the show doesn't explain what the hell a pawn's supposed to be.
No,
it doesn't really.
Really, the game doesn't either. To be honest,
the game doesn't either. But it does a better job than this one does. Literally, she just shows up and she just says, "I'm a pawn," and then every other character will be like, "Oh, she's a pawn." They look at her for a second and they go, "Oh, she's a pawn," and I'm like, "How do you know that?" Like, she literally looks
hair.
like a girl. Like,
I don't know.
There's literally like no. You can't even say that because the wife lady in the third episode has blonde hair.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
So there's no reason for them to know that she's a pawn unless she walks around and shows everyone her glowing scar. So like that's the one. They don't explain what a pawn is.
Yeah.
They don't explain very well like its connection to the Arisen.
Yeah.
Or like at all. They don't even really like get into it. They don't even get to the whole Arisen thing like that much at all either.
Well,
but like it's better left off vague in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, also like in the game, like people didn't believe that he was that the main character. You were an Arisen and stuff like in the capital.
Yeah, the Arisen's basically a Dragonborn in the TV series.
Yeah, basically.
They just go, oh, you're an Arisen, and they're like. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're not going to show me any ID that you are? You're just going to assume, but okay.
Yeah. Oh my god, you're a reason because you're trying to kill the dragon. Like,
you're trying to kill the dragon.
Like how we're supposed to be trying to kill the dragon.
Like Steve from the farmland, he also wants to kill the dragon. Does that make him an Arisen too?
Is he an Arisen too? Yeah.
Am I an Arisen? I want the dragon dead.
Yeah, I think that in the end, I kind of have to give it like 3 scores, like separate scores to be honest, depending on a person's mindset. Like I don't know, I don't like giving number scores, but it's so much simpler. You know,
it's so weird. It's like
because I enjoyed it. Overall.
Is it worth a watch? I mean,
it depends.
You have to take into this example. It's only 3 hours long.
Yes,
you're not taking that much out of your day.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is that if your favorite game is Dragon's Dogma, like mine, well, shit, you've probably already watched it. But if you haven't, you should watch it.
You should watch it. It's a good love letter.
If you've played and enjoyed Dragon's Dogma, you should watch it.
I think it's a good love letter to that series.
Yeah, exactly. If you're like, well, I just want to see monsters fighting for 3 hours, you should watch it. If you want a deep, complicated, interesting story, don't watch this.
Yeah, don't watch it.
Don't watch it.
It's best to watch is just like a popcorn thing.
It really is. Like, just sit down for a 3-hour movie. That's just how I would look at it.
Yeah, just think, oh, I'm gonna watch Return of the King.
Yeah,
that's all you're doing.
Exactly. I like to look at it in that with the fact that they only had 7 episodes. I like Dragon's Dogma a lot, and that and looking at it in that perspective, I would probably give it a guilty 9, but a critical like 7.
I think 7's a good. I think that's a good one.
I think a 7 for any normal human being, but for me, the action alone was a 9. So
I usually like to give 2 scores. Scores where I'm having a good day and scores when I'm having a bad day. I'd give it a 7 on a good day and a 6 on a bad.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way of looking at it. I agree.
Like, yeah, like
7 if you want.
The optimistic side of me wants to give it a 7, but the cynical, seething rage inside of me wants to give it a 6.
It's average through and through. But if you are just giant Dragon's Dogma nerd geek like I am, you'll get satisfaction out of it. I would say it's like a 50% chance actually, because there are some hardcore fucking people out there, and I'm sure that those people hate this shit. I'm sure
that's
of it.
True, but at the same time,
people like that.
I feel like Dragon's Dogma fans will take anything they can get at this point.
Yeah, I definitely. Even if this was like, it looked like shit and it looked like it was gonna suck real bad, I would have watched it. I don't know if I would have finished it, but I watched this and enjoyed it. It's worth the time. And if you're looking for action, just just watch the action parts. That's really the reason why you watch it.
The action parts are really good.
They're really
they're actually worth the watch.
Yeah. All right, so for the forecast of Anything Bros, I don't know. Clearly, we fired the other guy because he sucked, and we got a new. No, he's gonna be back. We have something in the pipelines, and we've had this something in the pipelines for a long time, so it won't live up to that expectation. But hopefully, you'll look forward to that. Any last words, new buddy, new bro?
Dragon's Dogma is a good game. support the franchise in the vain hopes that we might get a new game. We probably never will, but why else would they decide to revive Dragon's Dogma out of nowhere? It's so weird. It's so weird, isn't it? Yeah. Like Dragon's Dogma.
You know what? Fuck it. We're not ending right now. Actually, you've got a good point. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Like Capcom, like legitimately never makes anything unless it's a franchise that they like a lot.
And like, I mean, to be fair, I actually think they do like this a lot. To be honest,
they do like Dragon's Dogma.
I think they do like, because think about it. There was Dragon's Dogma Online, which I never got to play, and I'm fucking pissed about. Which they supported for like, I think it was like 4 years or some shit before they decided to shut it down. Got constant updates, if I understand correctly. They've re-released Dragon's Dogma like 4 times.
Yeah, they recently did a Switch thing like last year.
Which I heard was a very good port. Which, if it wasn't, we would have a problem. It's from 2012. It's an old game. Yeah, and I looked at the sales, and if I did the math correctly, it was somewhere around 4 million overall. That's not bad. I mean, their highest selling is Monster Hunter World, which I want to talk about at some point. Monster Hunter, which I believe, if I remember correctly, is 11 million. So it's not a bad selling franchise overall. Oh god, it's just
so weird. I feel like Dragon's Dogma at this point is Capcom's guilty pleasure. It's so strange because they just like it really comes out of nowhere. Like they literally have. I can only think of them. They've only done like what, Street Fighter, and like Resident Evil like TV series. They've only done those like much. As movies. And Monster Hunter is now just getting a movie, and it's probably gonna eat ass, but
it's gonna blow. But hey, I'll be there at some point. I'll watch.
I'll be there. I'll watch to see how terrible that movie is.
And they were gonna have a short, an animated short actually, that was gonna have Nercilla in it, but I haven't heard about that shit in years. So, but that was an official announcement too. But I think that's probably dead.
Yeah, they legitimately. So like, it is just so strange that out of nowhere they're just like, oh yeah, we're doing a Dragon's Dogma anime. Bye.
I don't know if it's true, but I think I heard that the director for DMC5 had a choice between Dragon's Dogma 2 and DMC.
And he picked DMC.
And he picked. Well, I mean, come on, they needed a new game. It's been how many years?
I'm just saying that's surprising though, because.
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma was like his, that was like his dream game, wasn't it?
That's like his baby. I think I don't know if it's true. I haven't actually checked. I don't care enough to check.
Because I feel like if that was the case, he would have picked Dragon's Dogma 2
I think that he actually has a love for both. I think he said that he wants to do Dragon's Dogma 2 at some point. I don't know if that's true.
Well, he's too busy doing Final Fantasy 16 now, so...
Is he? Is he doing that? Is he the director?
Aiden keeps talking in the Discord.
Oh, but that was. But wasn't. Ah, shit. Is that what that was? I thought he meant like the action director part. Yeah, the gameplay director.
That's what I mean. Shit. That's what I mean, though. He's busy working on that.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, that doesn't. Ugh. I don't know.
Final Fantasy 16 podcast win.
I want to do a Final Fantasy one. I want to do a Monster Hunter one. I want to do a Final Fantasy one. So maybe we'll get to those at some point. Actually, now would be a good time. Could capitalize on the hype for Final Fantasy 16. Are people excited for it?
I'm not.
I'm not. I mean, it looks like it has good combat, but everything else looks like shit.
I mean, you know what? I'm gonna say this. Don't get your hopes up. Final Fantasy 15 looked like it had good combat when it was released, when it was shown off at first.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Actually,
I do.
It was fun at first.
I'll give it up. I'll give it up to... No, it's because, listen, Final Fantasy games have a way of looking flashy and looking fun to play, but when you play it, you realize the game's just playing itself and you're just doing nothing.
Yes, that's very
true.
Like,
as much as I love the new Final Fantasy, like the Final Fantasy 7 remake, it really isn't that intuitive.
It's not that deep of a combat system.
It's not that deep.
It's kind of like a Warriors game where you're like, I enjoy this.
Yeah, you just sit there just mashing squares saying, I like this game.
This is
like
fun.
That's basically it.
But
like there's nothing wrong with that.
Games.
There's nothing wrong with that. But like whenever I look at Final Fantasy, when I looked at Final Fantasy VI, well, first off, I'm gonna say this flat out. I hate the art direction of this game. I absolutely hate the way it looks.
It's so fugly.
It's not even like graphically it looks awful. I just think that
like
the art style is boring. It looks like garbage Game of Thrones.
Listen, I'm sorry to any Witcher fans, but it really reminded me of Witcher. Way less colorful Witcher, like black Witcher, like dark,
it looks like Witcher if Witcher was trying to not be fantasy.
Yeah, if it was trying.
It looks
so
too
Game of
close
Thrones,
to like. It looks too medieval, like close to home medieval.
Yeah, I don't know.
It just doesn't scream Final Fantasy to me.
The thing is, Final Fantasy has always had different kinds of styles and stuff, but this one's really
just so
pushing it
boring.
For me.
It's just so boring. It's so bland.
Yeah, it really is.
It's too bland. It's not even like Dragon's Dogma medieval. It's just like peasant medieval. It's true. It's just like so boring looking.
No, I totally agree. I don't know. I was not floored by that. I was very.
And also,
very
I feel like it was I feel like they're doing a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because like when the trailer happens, they're like, even that. But when the trailer happens, they go. What do they say? They say the crystals have ruled over us for too long. I feel like that was them saying, yeah, turn-based is gone. Yeah. Idiots, get over it. That's what it felt like. It felt like them saying this is the new age of Final Fantasy. And the second I saw that, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I see Final Fantasy is no longer a series I'm gonna have to care about anymore.
I don't have a problem when a franchise changes genres. Case in point, actually, I did have a problem at first, but I played it. Yakuza is changing to a turn-based JRPG style. I don't really have a problem with that. But there is no denying that when I played the old turn-based Final Fantasy games, they were 1,000 times better than the action ones that have come out recently.
The action ones, this is why, the thing is that the only hope of this being anywhere near as good is because the DMC5 guy's in on it.
Yes, honestly,
that's the only thing.
If they really start hammering home the kind of crazy, insane combat that we get from Bayonetta or DMC, then I would be like, all right, we're in. But right now, it's kind of this weird, like, amalgamation of, like, fuck, I don't even know what it is. And I like 7. I actually enjoyed 15, but I don't know, maybe even the story quality is different. I just think Square is not really what they used to be in general.
Square is not what they used to be.
And they haven't been for a very long time, so it's not really that surprising. But
I've always said this about RPGs, and I'm going to say it again. RPGs, it's not about, especially when it comes to like Final Fantasy games and stuff like that. The reason why people like Final Fantasy games so much, it is part of the turn-based just being top quality.
Yes.
But it's also part of the adventure is really good. Mm-hmm. And this game's adventure doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I know they've only shown us 3 minutes, but just by looking at it, I look at it and I go, I do not want to go there. Usually when any Final Fantasy game will like show me something and I'll be like, I want to go there. I want to see that.
Honestly, like 15, actually, I think that was the one thing 15 did really well, was the feeling of adventure.
Yes, and well, not only that, but it was a new thing that they were doing. And now that I got to play 15 and see that new thing, I realized that I don't want that new thing. So, because I'm sorry, but like, you also have to take this into effect. It is all about the adventure. So if the adventure sucks, then who gives a crap? But you also have to remember this. This is still a Square Enix game. You can put in as much combat as you want. It's still not going to be enough, because Square Enix is still going to throw in a bunch of cutscenes and you walking around and talking to people the entire time. And you'll sparsely have like actual combat. That is what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I think so. We went off on a little bit of a tangent there, maybe, but I think this is you know what? I'll call it a teaser. This is a teaser for maybe, I don't know, who knows, the next Anything Bros podcast, where we're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of Final Fantasy and what our favorite Final Fantasy games are.
The funny part is that we haven't even played most of the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I've only played
so
two
like
to
we're not
completion.
even like we're not even
maybe we'll have
talking
to
about this.
We might, yeah, but I don't know. Who knows? I've played enough. I've played 2 of them. I've seen 3 of them. Whatever. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But maybe we'll call in a ringer or something. But anyway, check out Dragon's Dogma if that at all sounds interesting to you, and maybe pick up the game because actually after watching this, I totally did.